like I sort of just wanted to do this as a bit of a chat. Like, I don't know if you saw Sam's one, but it was just more of a chat about, obviously, his coaching and stuff at elite level. And I just wanted to see, what he's doing, sort of pick his brain. And it was great. Like, I sort of got a couple of bits and pieces out of it straight away. Like, oh, this is great. Like, I really enjoyed it. So it's interesting talking to other coaches. And, we had a bit of a chat when I was up in Sydney a couple of months ago now. But, it's just interesting, like we all do the same thing, but everyone's got a different way to do it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, like everyone's got their own opinion on, how things work for them, how, they think that they can, mold it into their own coaching styles. And I think that's what's good about it. Everyone's got their own way, and it's not necessarily right or wrong. It's just, you've got to have some sort of formula that you believe in.
Yep.
And then the way I guess you express that and the way that you bring that out in the riders is the main thing.
Because obviously we raced together for years, and it was real funny because I don't think we actually got along when we were competitors to a degree. But they'd say that I stayed at your house a couple of times. So I don't know. It was just weird. We just had, it's like any rivalry, I guess, against other riders, it's a weird sort of relationship. And then you sort of get out of it and you finish racing and you're just like, hey, we both like really love BMX. So it's weird, isn't it? And then we both sort of fell in love with jiu-jitsu now. So, it's funny how life goes on and you sort of grow up and mature, and it's weird.
Yeah, for sure. I'm the same. Like, I was Warwick Stevenson's age and we raced each other since we were like 10, 11, 12 years old. And we had this massive rivalry, and then he went over to the US and spent some time there. And then when we actually got a bit older, all of a sudden we become mates. And next thing I'm at his wedding, standing at his water party and other stuff like that. So, and we're still close mates. So, yeah, it is. It's one of them things where, you're rivals, but you can also see you got so much in common with the sport and training and just being the best.
What about your training back in the day? Like, I never obviously got to pick your brain much when we were competing against each other, but what sort of stuff? Obviously you would have done the basic stuff, right? Gym sprints, all that sort of stuff, gates. But I remember when you were coming up, because you're a little bit younger than me, right? Like you're like 45 or something, 44?
Yeah, 45, yeah.
Yeah. How's that? But I remember you coming up, and I remember the guys from Sydney coming down and racing. They're going, Luke's going fast. And I think this was when you were like 16 or 17. They go, Luke's going fast. I go, oh, really? Really? They go, yeah. And I think then you came down to Cash Dash and just lit everyone up. And I'd say, all right, Luke's going fast. Okay. But so what were you doing different back then? Do you remember it all? Obviously it's back now, but.
It's an interesting conversation because I was just talking about this with some of the strength and conditioning coaches today. And I think I loved riding my bike, and I think that brought out, everyone's got their own strengths and weaknesses. Some people, are technical, some people are just physically strong. And I think it comes down to your passion and what you enjoy in training. And I didn't like the strength side of it. So, gym days for me was just a punish.
Yep.
Couldn't wait to get in there, couldn't wait to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But riding my bike was just something that I loved. So I think I just spent a lot more time on my bike. I think I, perfected a lot of the skills and was just really comfortable on my bike. And I think then when I slowly started to add that strength base and just started to, I guess, mature a little bit more, the two in hand, really came on board. And then obviously a bit of confidence doesn't help once you start sort of picking a few riders off. So, I think people really underestimate how much you need to ride your bike, even when you're at that higher level.
Yeah.
And that's why I look at guys now like Josh Jolly and others that are pretty exceptional. And you just look at how much quality time they spend on their bike and they enjoy it at the same time.
Yeah. No, Josh is good. I was chatting to him and his old man at Track Attack the other week. And, they're going, oh, so what's, his dad was saying, people ask him, what's Josh doing in the off-season? He goes, off-season? He goes to America and races. When there's no racing here, he's in America racing. So it's just like, he just rides his bike, and then he'll ride it more and then he'll ride it less. Like, I guess he just loves riding his bike. So.
Yeah, and I think it sets up that foundation. So I think that there's a point where, you really saturate yourself with all this natural talent and efficiency, and then, sometimes building the engine, if you don't mind doing a bit of training, kind of the easier part in some ways. I think, if you can really have that strong foundation of, technical, tactical background, build that engine up, and all of a sudden you've got a pretty big combination. Whereas if you're sort of missing, I feel like they both come hand in hand. You've got to have the physical side, you've got to have the technical side. And if you're missing one, then that's just why you see the guys like Joris and Sayer and other riders just dominating, because they kind of got all of it in one.
Yeah. Remember Tiger was a bit like that too, like just really good on his bike. And then as he got older and a little bit more mature, he just strengthened, and, he had that. He was good, man. He had a good period too, like for about a year and a half, 2 years. He was just unstoppable. Went through that phase as well.
Yeah, no, he was, another one that just, when he wanted to, could just light us all up down the first straight. And again, on his bike, he was unreal. He had that track in his backyard that was insane, and just grew up, riding trails. So again, another example of someone that just enjoyed riding their bike, got a bit of strength, and away they go. And then it just comes down to the whole mindset thing, which is probably 70% of it on the day, and the reason why some riders win, some riders struggle.
Yeah.
Once you're on the gate, in my opinion, a lot of the physical and the technical stuff kind of gets thrown out the back. If you're not switched on and you're not going to back yourself, then it's not going to happen.
Well, that's what I was chatting to Sam the other day, and he was saying the similar thing. He goes, look, at the end of the day, all the guys on the gate are all probably the same. They could probably all put out the same wattage. They've probably all got the same leg speed. But it's who's got the mental focus, who can switch it on the day that's going to separate the riders, right?
Yeah, 100%. And, it's been great. I got to spend a bit of time with Sam when he was training through to London and that. And that was just the difference between him and everyone else. He wasn't this powerhouse in the gym, or, he wasn't doing anything special outside of anything, but he just believed in what he did. He was extremely disciplined in what he did. And when he got on the gate, he was just an absolute animal, because he just put in 100%. So the consistency follows.
Yeah, he was locking in. He was saying he was locking in the pits. He was going through his routine. And, I remember the first time I saw that was Wade Boots was doing it at Nerang. I think he just came back from the States, and I think he might have even just won the ABA title or something. But I remember Wade sitting in the pits at Nerang, and he's looking in his helmet, and we're all just looking at him going, what's he doing? Like, it was just so foreign to us, like actually trying to focus and concentrate. Like, we're all chin wagging and talking crap leading up the hill, and here he is focused, and it's just like, oh, okay, all right, we get it. So
yeah, no, I think there's a massive piece, obviously, the mindset side of things is huge. I think there's also the oversaturation of it as well, like, just getting into it too much, and you almost get in your head that you almost over-process things. So it's like, don't get nervous, but you've just gone through things 1,000 times just to make yourself nervous and put yourself into that position. So I think there's a happy medium. I think there's so many things in the sport now, and you get access to so much stuff. I mean, back when we were riding, there was no social media. There was no things where you could start to wander off and explore and sort of see what everyone else is doing. So I think there's, some massive advantages, but then there's also some big disadvantages, and probably people just confusing themselves with just jumping from coach to coach and idea to idea.
Yeah. Just too much information. Information overload. People just got so much information coming at them. It's like, where do you start? I mean, I had when I had the gym for years as well, like, we're playing the same people come to me talking about weight loss and nutrition, and there's just so much information out there. It's like, where do you start? Like, people are just getting bombarded with information. Yeah. And it's hard. So so you've obviously moved into a bit of a coaching role with Oz Cycling now, not BMX Australia. I was going to say BMX Australia, but how'd that go? How did all that happen? Like, obviously you raced for years. How was the transition?
Yeah, a lot of it unexpected. Like, obviously, when you're an athlete, you think you're just going to race professional forever, and you don't normally think about things like after BMX. But it started to get to that age of sort of was lucky enough to go to the first Olympics, and then kind of half-heartedly started to go towards the second one. But I was 32 at the time, and the body just wasn't, really cooperating. And then, didn't get picked for the national team to go. I think it was the 2013 World, I think maybe New Zealand.
Yep.
Didn't make the team, kind of bummed about that for personal reasons. And then I was like, oh, well, I'll just go over and give the kids a hand, and just ask BMX Australia at the time, can I come and just lend a hand? And they're like, yeah, sure. And that's kind of how that started, and just got a role within BMX Australia helping out part-time. And then that just slowly evolved. Obviously, Oz Cycling come around, and things kind of broadened up there, and became sort of a pathway manager to look at how riders are developing and where they're coming through, and trying to fill some of the gaps there, which is, still a work in progress. And to be honest, the national coach role was something that I never really wanted or expected. And then, Sam, I think Wade had stepped into the freestyle role. So then it kind of left a bit of a vacancy for the BMX race, which Sam come in and filled for a couple of years. And then he stepped away from that. And I was helping Sayer at the time. And then obviously working within the program as well. So it kind of was like sort of handballed onto me, as in you're here now, so continue on with it. And they asked me if I'd like to continue on with the role. And yeah, that's kind of how it sort of all blended in. So it wasn't exactly part of my, philosophy 10, 15 years ago. Like I want to become the national coach. It's just, yeah, kind of just all slowly evolved just from one day just saying, can I lend a hand, to all of a sudden it just more doors opened up and yeah, kept it stepping up.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about so within that role, are you hands-on? Like, how does it work? Are you coaching riders? What's going on there?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. I mean, it's definitely harder now. Obviously, you got more of the back-end administrative stuff, and you've got a lot of political stuff and talking about budgets and trying to work out how the plan's going to work. Like, we're already talking long-term all the way through to Australia and Brisbane in 2032. So that's how far, we're already starting to look towards planning. So yeah, you're trying to do that, and then you're trying to make sure that we've also got riders coming through as well. So identifying the riders that are currently doing well, elite riders, and then what have we got coming through, like how are we actually going to look after LA and coming into Brisbane. So yeah, to answer your question, some of the riders I'm more hands-on with. So obviously still work with the likes of, Sayer and Josh and some of these guys, more hands-on riding programs, going through video content. I actually fly up to Brisbane once a week and check out what's happening with the program and all of that there. And then once we go to events, try and, again, lead the team through. So it does get tough because obviously there's private coaches, there's, other people that come in and have control over some of the riders. So try to navigate around that. It has its sort of strengths and weaknesses as well. But in general, it's just trying to make sure that, the team has a structure, that we've got a good phase and a good training plan to make sure that, one, we qualify well for things like Olympics and World Championships, but also that we're developing riders coming through at the same time.
Yeah, okay. And so with regards to programming and stuff, I know we spoke a little bit about it when I was down there recently. Just with regards to, I guess, what people are doing. I guess the whole idea of this thing is I just want to, like I said, sit down, pick your brain, find out what other riders are doing, steal all their ideas, and then sell them for my own. So if I could get as much information, do you like that? But yeah, I don't know. So what sort of stuff are you doing with, say, for example, Sayer, right? Olympic gold medalist. What's she doing? What sort of things is Sayer doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's really not rocket science, and I think that's the biggest thing. I think everyone starts to get a little bit caught up again on the internet and, what looks cool out there as far as all the new different training ways. And to be honest, it's been a really good eye-opener for me because I get to work with a lot of the strength and conditioning coaches in the institutes and see what they're doing and they're prescribing. And it's literally just what we used to do. It's like just your squats, your deadlifts, your leg presses, all the main sort of functional lifts that just to try and physically make you stronger, and just doing it effectively, just time after time after time. Yeah. So it's really just trying to lock them in to a program, just have them consistent, have them working in there. But honestly, it's not rocket science when it comes to the gym. And I mean, I'm not a strength and conditioning coach, so I've obviously been around a lot of training and seen a lot of things, but I was actually pleasantly surprised that, oh, you know what, this is really cool. They're just, they're getting under the squat rack, they're doing their squats, they're doing their deadlifts, they're doing their leg press, They're just doing it efficiently, they're tracking it a lot better, and they're just monitoring the riders a lot in that instance. So the downside is obviously some of the riders haven't had access to this early enough, so they kind of come into the gym and they've got really poor form, or, they're not that strong, so it's kind of like undoing a few layers and starting over again, and just sort of showing them how to train a little bit more efficiently. But as far as I've got no sort of information around, you should see these lifts they're doing now. They're doing all this crazy single leg stuff, or they're doing all these crazy things with bands or whatever. And it's actually not. You'd actually almost be disappointed. You're like, shit, you just got to do a squat.
Yeah.
Get heavy at it. So, I mean, obviously the way they periodize the training and they spend a lot of time in their training phases, which helps a lot. They get to monitor the riders a lot and see how they're going, and but at the end of the day, it's just hard work. It's just getting in there and just doing the time. And we always talk about it. It's so much work for months and years just to get like 1 or 2% better. But you do that every year, and that 2 or 3% gets to 5%, gets to 10%, and they're the riders that seem to like just slowly edge their way through over the ones that do it for 4 or 5 months and go, oh, this isn't working, let's try something different. They kind of start all over again. So yeah, physically nothing amazing. Obviously a bit better testing equipment now, like they've got some pretty crazy ergos, so bikes and that
Yep.
that they can test their power a little bit more on. But as far as everything else, yeah, it's all pretty much just slogging it out in the gym, just spend a lot of time under a lot of heavy weight and eventually trying to put on that muscle mass to increase that power. So yeah, from a gym perspective, it's just keep going.
It's funny, even coming back, like obviously me and yourself have been around sport for a while, but like I had the last probably 8 years come back and just getting back into training and coaching and helping riders, and nothing's changed, man. It's all the same. It's all the same stuff I was doing 20 years ago. Like I've just got my guys, same thing, lifting heavy in the gym, got them jumping around, doing some plyometrics, doing their sprints. Like it's all the same stuff, right?
Yeah, and it is. And I still think, like I sort of mentioned before, there's still I think the bike time is missing a little bit from our younger riders. Like we get a few riders now, some males, but mainly in the female area, that just don't quite have that foundation there with regards to whether it's a gate start, whether it's a manual, whether it's a jump. And when they transition onto those supercross tracks where you kind of get caught out with some of that stuff straight away, it's really hard for them at an older age to try and learn new skills and kind of come in and do it again, especially if they've got a bit of fear or anything around it. So that's probably the biggest thing that we're recognizing right now, is that there's not enough probably coaching going on hand to hand in like actually technical side of things. So, what does your gate start look like, and how can we actually make sure that the foundation is there so when you get stronger, you don't end up with these pretty funky sort of different techniques that we see out there as well. So yeah, I definitely say the bike time and there's sort of, in my opinion, BMX racing is starting to become a lot more of a tactical game as well. So you see now, like riders, even if they're in first or second, sometimes in a quarter or semi-final, they're not always safe because one kind of slightly wrong line in a turn or whatever it might be. It was a little bit follow the leader back in the day, where you kind of get in that top 4 and you just kind of hold on for your spot. But a lot more evidence now around, there's more than one way to win a race. And yeah, you've got a lot more chance of being up front at the first turn, but there's so many guys now that are just that good on their bike that they could come into the first corner in the mid-pack and still end up on the podium or even winning the race. So I think the tactical side of it probably doesn't get looked at as much as it should. But, yeah, like with the sprints and everything else, it's still the same thing. If anything, they've probably gotten a little bit shorter. I don't think anyone's trying to go out there and do like 100-metre long sprints or, towing tyres or things like that. It's just...
I see some coaches with bands on riders the other day. He's running behind the riders with some bands.
There's still a lot of things out there. I mean, we don't do any stuff like that. If we're going to do any sort of resistance training, you either put your gearing up or use the incline of the hill or something like that. So, again, we're not doing anything that's out of the ordinary. So, to me, it just comes down to the programming and just the consistency. So it's just boring, long, hard work that you just got to take time and time and time. It's there's no feel, and that's what I think is the hardest part. And it's been the same for years. It's everyone just wants to, just spend a month doing something and just see the results from it, and it doesn't work like that. But yeah, the ones that seem to just disciplined, they come in, they do their training, they go home, they realize that some days are going to be hard, some days are going to look better, and just don't compare your numbers week in and week out. They're the ones that seem to be the ones that build that consistency, and then it transitions to racing straight away.
I was reading something about the 70-30 rule. Like 70% of the time training is going to be good, 30% of the time training is going to be terrible. And if you can accept that and just keep persevering, that's where you'll find success. You mentioned earlier about some of the girls coming through and not having the ability to jump, and not girls in particular, but I find that with a lot of riders, they get to a certain age, and if they're not very good at jumping or they're not good enough on their bike, it's so hard to teach. You know what I mean? Like you were saying earlier about Josh, he's really good on his bike, right? And then all you got to do is build a bit of horsepower. But when you got those riders that just don't have that jumping ability, and like I said, a bit of fear, it's so hard to teach.
Yeah, it is. And especially when the mindset comes into it, you've got so many things to deal with. One, you've got the technical aspect of it. And then two, you've got this fear side of things. And it's kind of hard for them to start back and go back to the beginning and go back to tabletops and everything when they're supposed to be bombing down an 8-meter ramp and, potentially hitting a 10, 12-meter double at some of the tracks. So, yeah, it's one of the things that I still think a lot of the parents and families and coaches and that sometimes probably underestimate how much it catches up to you and how fast it is. Yeah. And, I mean, we've had a lot of world champions at, 16 years old that have just pumped the track and they can't progress on with the sport. It's like, why are they picked for the junior elite team? And it's like, because they can't actually jump the first jump. So we can't take someone to a world championships or a World Cup and stand on the gate and try and teach them how to jump the first jump at that level. So it is important, and I think it's something that's underestimated. And you kind of forget how the steps actually work, and it's not easy. It's definitely hard. It's not an easy sport. Like, it's got to be one of the hardest sports in the world to train for, because you just got so many things you need to try and do. That's why I think in your younger years, if you can just get that technical side done, then it just eliminates one of those extra things you got to worry about later on.
But how's the level of the girls? Like, you think, well, I mean, how long's it been in the Olympics for now? What, nearly 12, 16 years? 16 years? Something like that. Like, the level before the Olympics came around, the girls weren't jumping at all. There was probably like one or two girls that could jump. I remember Renee, shout out to Renee Junga. She was busting X-ups at the Worlds in the final. Remember that? That indoor race? But she was the only one of the probably 3 or 4 girls that I knew that actually jumped. Like, the rest of the girls weren't jumping. But then the Olympics come around. It's like, well, you want to be in the Olympics? This is the next level, guys. You got to start jumping. So, yeah, definitely that was definitely a positive that came out of it, right?
Yeah, and I think that's probably the one. If you look at how much the sport's grown, I think the girls have grown more than anything else. Yeah. Like, when you look back at, like that Beijing track, and they built that one in the US, and that one in the US now is used as a training ground for girls and for younger kids to go and learn off. So, and that was the stuff that when we saw that, we were like, oh, you're joking. You're going to make a trace off this. And it's funny now because we didn't grow up with that sort of thing. And now these kids are seeing that for the first time when they're 8, 9, 10 years old. And they just know that that's, the next level. So, the girls have definitely made the sport, I think, a better quality, because some of them are technically just as good as the guys now. Yeah. So, first straight and some of the pro sections and some of the things they're building now, the girls can handle their own, so it's really good.
Well, track attack the other day, all the girls were jumping the first double at Knox down the first straight.
Yeah.
And then I remember back in the day just watching the A Pro girls or double A girls just bouncing through it. Like, none of them were jumping it, and the whole final jumped it on the weekend. So, I mean, they have raised the height of the hill, so they got a little bit more speed in it now, but it's so good. So good.
Yeah, I mentioned that to someone else, actually. I was saying, like, when we were racing, like, jumping that jump was like, you were pretty good back then if you could look at that. Whereas, now I think half of those guys weren't even getting backside in the final. They were jumping past it.
Well, it was kind of short back then, right? Before they lifted the hill.
Yeah.
I remember Kama overshooting it and just landing on the flat one day, and I'm like, I was there watching, and I just remember him crashing. I'm like, oh, and they hit so hard. I end up running out trying to help him. They're like, don't touch him. You'll get DQ'd. I'm like, oh, well, someone touch him. He's like, he just landed on his face. So, poor bugger.
Yeah, no, I think the girls are doing a great job. They've really stepped up a lot, and I think the racing quality that where they're at the moment is good. But it just reiterates the fact that these younger girls really need to step up, because you've seen. It's great. We've got the likes of Saya here and Taya Rufus and others that have been like junior world champions. So they've set the level, and it's great that they're in our country. So the bar's kind of been set, and it's really easy for these girls to understand what it's going to take to be the best in the world.
Yeah. So good. What, I'll just go back. You were talking a little bit about testing before. What sort of stuff are you guys doing? Obviously, you got the Watt bikes. Are you using like cranks? Are you doing what's your go-to test for testing athletes or for testing riders?
Bit of everything. I mean, we've been a little bit behind, to be honest, with some of the stuff, but we're starting to use just the SRM cranks a little bit more. It's kind of the go-to with regards to getting power output, and you can put them on your bike now. They just come with a set of DXRs. So That's probably the best way that we can get sort of power output. They can just do their gates, they can do their sprints, and it's a little bit more accurate than, a watt bike or an ergo or things like that, because it's actually doing the efforts that we're doing out on the track. So that's probably one of the main ones. And then just tracking everything else. So they're still tracking their lifts, they're still tracking their times on the hill, they're still tracking things like full lap times and that sort of thing. So it's just monitoring it. And that's where probably the sport's changed a lot, like with regards to the sports science and other things. So the guy that is tracking it that much that you pull it up on a graph, and over the first 3 or 4 months, you can see, whether the time's going up, down, where their power numbers are at. And then you can start to look back on what they're doing for training and is this working or is it not? Whereas, I mean, back in the day, we kind of just training and you go to the next race and wondering how quick you go, and then you just keep going again.
My biggest thing was the speedo. I just had a speedo on my bike and I'd do sprints. Depending if I had a headwind or a tailwind, I'd get faster times every time. It's just so weird. But yeah, it's so good in it. The testing now is amazing. There's so much stuff out there.
And it's just evolving all the time, like in that area. And again, there's so many more things. Like we're doing things like now, like putting riders in wind tunnels, where looking at different ways that we can improve their performance on their bike, and what more can we do to get out of a bike. And there's a whole bunch of things they're looking at. That some things, obviously with our sport, it's a lot different to road or track cycling, but the fact that we all train together and we're kind of under the one roof now, we can kind of pull a lot of resources from each other. And even with training, with a whole bunch of things, that helps as well.
Are you getting, so what sort of stuff is going on with that, guys? The track guys, you find they're bringing a bit of information over, the useful information, I guess?
Yeah, well, that's probably the biggest thing that's happened in the last 12 months. So the programs now, it's actually called an action acceleration program. So track, sprint, BMX race and freestyle are all under the one umbrella. So all have the same support staff with regards to strength and conditioning coaches. They've obviously got their own technical kind of coaches, but we all come together and pull our resources together. We're learning a lot over the last 12 months around, obviously track sprint's been around forever, and those guys know how to produce a lot of power. So there's a lot of things that we can take from them, and a lot of different training resources and just pedal efficiencies and other things that we've learned as well. So it's been good. Even some of the guys, like I know Sarah and Isaac and that, have started to get on the track with some of those guys and train on the track in the off season, and just mixing some things up. Same as going to the freestyle park and jumping into foam pits and other stuff like that. So being able to mix up the training and just, not have it so repetitive, I think it's been good as well.
Yeah. I remember we went to the track a couple of times when I was living in Sydney, and they love it. They rub their hands together. Oh, BMX riders are here. And they just giving us renter bikes and goes, there you go guys. And you get to the first turn, you go to stop pedaling, it just kicks you in the ass. It's just with that fixed wheel.
Yeah. But no, there's definitely a lot of advantages. I mean, if there was ever a time that you wanted to be a BMX rider, I mean, now's it. Like these guys are getting all the questions that we always wanted and we always asked for, and they're kind of getting that hands-on now. So we kind of did all the groundwork and we're guinea pigs for 20 years or more, and then now these guys are actually getting some real good evidence around what training works and how to plan it and how to put it into place. So it's exciting for the next few years for them.
That was the biggest thing, right? Like coming up, I mean, a video popped up on YouTube. I don't know who filmed it, but it was from like 84 when I was raced. I had a race at some local club and there was like one jump per straight, and I must have been like 8 or something. And I was like, just the way the tracks have changed, right? It's just completely different. And then, like you said, all the testing and stuff that's come on now, it's just it's definitely another level. But it's funny. It's funny watching older riders evolve over the years, especially my generation that came up with just no jumps. And then we had to become jumpers. Like my biggest thing was trails. As soon as I got onto trails, my level went up another, 10%, just because I couldn't jump I couldn't jump to save myself. So the best thing I could do was get on trails. I had some local guys, a friend of mine, Calvin Sporting. I have to keep dropping his name every time I do a podcast these days. But he was building trails, some local trails, and they've saved my career, I reckon. Just getting good on that. And then you get back to a track and it's just nothing, right? The lips are nothing when you're hitting, 10-foot gaps with walls for takeoffs.
Yeah, and these are some of the things we're trying to transition into some of the girls as well, like try and ride more pump tracks, try and ride, go to skate parks and, just get out of your comfort zone. So when you do ride a BMX track, everything feels pretty mellow after, trying to ride on spines and other things like that.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's the difference even now, like watching, again, the guys like Josh and others coming through, they're slowly changing the sport again. So they're just, refining some of those skills and adding some, different crazy tap manuals and other things into areas in the track that, some of the elite guys can't do anymore. And you can start to see that it's slowly changing the way that they're hitting some of these jumps and the way that they're using their body weight and the way that they're actually riding their bike. So even though the sport, you don't think it's changed a lot, but when you actually start to break down what some of these guys are doing, it's like, wow, they're definitely taking it to another level now. And I think that's why even more so the sport's going to be even more technical from a younger age, because they've just got to make sure they've got, that toolbox full of everything. So when they turn up at a race, they're not missing out on any of the skills.
I hope they don't overcomplicate the track so much. Remember there was a phase where they were trying to just do crazy stuff. I think you raced it. Was it Spain? They built like a jump on, jump off box thing and just like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then they're throwing S-bends and stuff in. It's just like, guys, just keep it simple. Like, is there policies in place now to just keep the tracks a little bit more uniform?
They've done a bit of both. So they kind of went to the extreme and then they really mellowed it out, but then they kind of mellowed it out too much to the point where, they started manualing the first jump and other things like that. And not realizing that when you mellow things down, it almost makes it more dangerous because you can go faster.
Yeah.
So sometimes when the jumps are bigger, it actually slows you down a little bit and it doesn't make the racing as quick. So I think they're kind of going back to a happy medium now where, things are starting to get a little bit bigger. But yeah, it's still going to be not as crazy as what it was. So I think, again, with some of the tracks that are getting built and some of the World Cups that are coming up this year and next year, I think you're going to see the racing, going to be pretty cool on some of those tracks.
Yeah, nice. They get big. Some of the tracks get big, like especially some of those rhythm sections, just so big, just long, big, long gaps.
Yeah, and it's really deceiving because, some of it is huge, but then you look at the speeds they're doing now, again, with the changes in the track surfaces and their bikes and tires and everything else, and it's like they're just rolling so fast now that, back in the day, we'd look at like a 10 or a 12-meter long double and think, God, how are we getting over that? And these guys are just pushing through that stuff now and trying to actually still catch backside. So it's, it's just that evolution. It's crazy. It's sort of... I feel like that when I raced, it wasn't that long ago, but you look at the tracks just 10 years ago and they're totally different to what they are now. So it's, it's definitely going to keep evolving.
Well, that's like I was saying about Knox, like the hill's bigger now, but then the track surface, now they got asphalt turns. It's like, everything's 10 Ks quicker.
Yeah.
So it's scary.
And then even the bikes, like the bike technology is just, they're stiffer, they're getting a lot longer. There's just so much more room and stuff that you can do on the bikes. So it's just, they're only little things, but again, it's just those 1 or 2% that just keep adding up and it just keeps making things quicker and quicker all the time.
Bonkers. Hey, I have to ask you about your gate start because I actually used to use your gate start as a bit of a reference back in the day. I had a photo and my gates were horrible, right? And I couldn't figure it out what I was doing wrong. And then I saw your gates one day and I don't know if it was a video or a photo, but from side on and you were like, your head and shoulders were like way over the bars. I'm like, what's he doing? And then, and that's sort of where it got me thinking about body position and stuff like that for gates. I used this excuse, right? Growing up, we had gravity gates, right? And every gate was different. Like you go to the track and it's just Jono's recorded his voice, right? Who's ready? Watch the gate. And then half the tracks you went to were air rams, half were just like gravity gates. And we just had, horrible, like half the tracks were like this, half were like leaning back on you. Like every gate was different. And there was no way to actually create a consistent start. And then obviously, you go to the States, it's all air ram and you're just getting smoked for the first 6 months until you figure out how to gate start. But your gates were really good consistently around sort of most tracks. Like, was there something that you practiced? Was it like, can you give me some insight on that?
Well, I think my gate for our time was strong. And I think, that was one of the key things. Like I pretty much commitment wise, the way I looked at it is the more momentum I could get from my upper body, it was just going to be a bit of a flow-on effect. I kind of say it to the kids now. It's like someone giving you a push in the back, or when you run down a steep hill, once your head and shoulders go forward, your legs try and keep up.
Yep.
So that was sort of my way of thinking, well, if I can commit 100% with my upper body, it's just more momentum shifting forward. Therefore, it's going to help those first few cranks come around. And you're right, like back then the gates were a lot slower, so there was a bit more of upward lift, and it was probably a little bit uglier to today's kind of one where you just can sort of come out nice and straight. And I think the random start was obviously one of the biggest parts of that. But I still think to this day, one of my key things, and gate starts are weird because everyone's got their own little, analogies of how to make it better, but I try and simplify it more than anything, and it's more just trying to keep that frame. So when you're on the gate, you're pretty much already in that nice, strong position. Like when you balance up on the gate, you're almost where you ride your bike all the time, and you want to try and hold that frame. So try and say to the kids, when you're moving forward, everything's kind of got to move forward at the same time. So that means that your head and shoulders have got to stay in front and your whole body's got to move. But it's probably one of the key things I look for in a start, and that is what reacts first. And usually when you slow this gate down, everyone reacts at the same time, because it's funny, some people go, oh, I've got a bad reaction. And it's like, well, when you slow it down, it's like, well, no, your hands moved or your arms moved or something moved at the same time as the person next to you, but they just moved more efficiently, and that everything moved forward and you went up or you went back or whatever you did. So I try and simplify it in that again, this is just my personal cues, is that if I can have everything moving at the same time, well, that framework should all move forward, and then it should hopefully then flow onto that second, third, and fourth crank. So I still use cues like lead with your head and other things, because some kids just pull straight up or they pull their head and shoulders straight down. But to me, it's just trying to hold that framework when you come forward, because otherwise, as soon as you break that frame with your hips, or, you lift your head and shoulders up, then the next 2 or 3 cranks, you're bobbing up, down, back and forward to try and get into that key position. Whereas if you watch guys that have a really strong start, it's almost effortless. Like from their first crank to their third or fourth crank, their body comes forward. Yeah, it has to shift a little bit to, allow room to get yourself around, but they still end up in that same position, and they just have that nice, strong start for 3 or 4 cranks, and then they're away. It just becomes, a sprint.
Yeah. Yeah. And what sort of stuff are you doing to work on it? I guess we spoke about it recently, briefly before, about block starts, hill sprints, those sorts of things that are going to sort of improve those starts.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you're going to improve your start, you do it on the gate. Like, that's just my personal opinion. I do think there are some things you can do, like with a block start, just body weight wise, again, just trying to make sure that your body's staying in line, that, again, you've got that nice strong lead with your head and shoulders, you're not shifting your form too much. So I think you can do that from, a sprint point of view. But I think it just comes down to, you can't replace a gate with just a gate, because you've got, doing a sprint is good because you can work on that form, but you still don't have a metal thing just sitting in front of you, stopping you from going. And that's usually the hesitation of why they rise up, because no one wants to charge at a gate, and you're charging at a gate before it's even moved yet.
Yeah.
The first instinct is to start lifting up. So trying to get that out of your head, you can't. You can learn the basics doing a sprint, but you've got to get on the gate and just keep going and going and going and just learn that. And I think in some ways the random start has helped that, because back when we did gates, you knew when the gate was going to drop. So it was just like trying to hold yourself back. Whereas now you can just hear or see that first light, and you just go. And the gate's dropping that quick now that you don't kind of have to worry about tapping the gate as much. There's still some tracks that are a bit slower than others, but generally, if you hold that form, come out strong, it's usually you've got more chances of missing it than you have coming out. But as far as anything else, I think as far as my coaching, I learn a lot. I kind of fell into the same trap I think a lot of coaches fell into, in that I did it this way, so you've got to do it that way. And, I kind of realized that pretty fast, that as long as they've got the basic foundation, there's a lot of unorthodox sort of gates out there. But in my opinion, if it's working, don't change it too much. If you're hole shotting races and your start looks a bit funky, okay, have a look at what it is, but who cares? obviously the momentum, the timing, everything's right there. So don't try and recreate the wheel. The same as, I hate getting into that debate. You've got to watch the lights or you've got to listen to the beeps. It's like that, to me, that doesn't matter. Pick one and go with it. But again, there's a lot of coaches out there that you have to watch the lights or you have to, listen. And it's like, just choose your way of what you want to do it and just continue on with that. And I think that's probably some of the things that I've personally learned and that have helped me, especially with the riders, because everyone, like I said, there's a foundation there and a framework, but there's always slight differences. Limb lengths, height, everything's going to change things slightly with the way they go out.
Well, that's like around the track too, right? You got the nuggety guys that are a little bit different, and then you got the tall, lanky guys that can just pick up and manual over everything.
Yeah, and that's a tough one too, especially when you look at some of the tracks. I know a lot of the riders are having issues up at Sleeman at the moment where the worlds are, because the first jump, it's actually quicker to tap manual it, but short guys won't be able to do that too well, and the tall guys have a pretty good advantage. And this is another thing where if you're not good on your bike and you can't do that, some of these guys are getting nearly half a bike out of it. So they get to the third jump in, level, and all of a sudden they've put half a bike on the guy next to it just by having a skill there or a skill set that they've obviously learned.
Yeah, interesting. Do you see Maris is coming over with the China team in a couple of weeks or something to do some training up Sleeman?
Yeah, I haven't. I've noticed he's been doing a bunch of stuff. I actually haven't followed it that closely, but I saw he's back on the bike a lot. I wasn't sure if he was making a comeback in Masters or anything like that, but I see they've got some sort of team challenge thing happening as well. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, what he's doing. So,
is he your age? Is he young? He's younger than you, right?
He's younger than me, yeah. So I saw him for the first time. Actually, it was when I don't know whether you came to America with me which time, but one of the times he was over there, I didn't even realize he was racing in like one of the, not the pro classes, in one of the other classes when we were there. But the first time I ever saw Maris, it was he was in my motos at a World Cup. I reckon it was about, I'm going to say around probably 2006 or 7. And I remember the first moto, he must have done something wrong, like, because I think me and Liam got first or second or something like that. Then all of a sudden in the next race, just this guy from lane 8 just had like a bike on us to the first turn. And I was like, who the hell is this? And he was a bit inconsistent, then at the time, but then just all of a sudden, coming into the Olympics, he just obviously, really stepped up and found his feet at the right time.
Yeah, he was amazing. Yeah. Backing up 2 Olympic gold medals, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. No, good guy too.
I remember I was watching the second Olympics and I was chatting to a friend of mine. He's like, oh, who's going to win this? Like, he did nothing know about BMX. I'm like, I said, put some money on Maris. I reckon he's going to get it again. And then boom, sure enough, he came through with the goods. But
he definitely knew how to switch on when it counted.
Yeah, man. Oh, this is good. This is a good chat, man. How's your jits going? What's going on there? So you got another stride the other week?
I'm definitely not going to have a career in jiu-jitsu like I am with BMX. It's one of them sports where I think, like all sports, you wish you started younger, but it's going good. I'm at the stage where obviously still a white belt getting pumped, but you can start to defend yourself a bit better with blue belts, and some weeks you come home feeling, I did all right there, and then the next week you're on with a black belt and they make you feel like a white belt. So
and you go home and cry in the shower for a little while.
Yeah. No, it's good, but no, I'm enjoying it. I wish I had picked it up earlier. I've been telling some of the riders to do it more from just learning patience, in a really, really bad position. Like, you think you're in a bad spot in BMX, but, when you're getting the life choked out of you by some guy that's 20 kilos heavier than you, and you just got to try and relax and get out of it. It really teaches you a different way to look at things and to really learn to calm down. And I know when I started, I did the whole thing of just going mental, trying to kick and scream your way out of things, to now just when someone gets you in a headlock, you almost feel semi-comfortable and, you kind of start to just, okay, how am I going to get myself out of this? No, it's been good. I mean, you came up and gave me some awesome tips. I can't wait to actually get down to Melbourne and do some sessions down there. It looks pretty good in the garage down there.
Yeah. That'll be good fun.
Yeah.
Did they work? Did those tips work?
I enjoyed it. My body's not loving it starting this whole, but
well, that's the downside, right? I think starting earlier, your body's going to be feeling a bit worse. So I had a friend of mine. I saw his wife and kids were doing it. I saw him at some tournament, and he's like, "Oh, I don't think I want to do it." And I go, "Nah, I said, don't do it, mate. Don't start jiu-jitsu at 45 or whatever I think he was at the time. I said, don't do it. I said, mate, your body will hate you for it. He goes, yeah, no, I just got my shoulder working. I said, no, well, don't do it then, mate. It's not worth it.
Yeah, no, my biggest thing now is I just got to pace myself any more than 2 or 3 times a week. And I can't walk the next week. So it's just, and they do a lot of rolling at my gym as well. So after the hour session, they always do half an hour of rolling. And then Friday night, it's just a big all in brawl fest. So
open mat, yeah.
It's good. It's good.
We used to do, I remember going to open mat sort of as a blue belt and a purple belt on Saturdays and just going for like an hour and a half and just being exhausted. Like I'd get home and I couldn't move. I just lay on the couch like, just fighting for your life pretty much. Just going as hard as you can so you don't get tapped. But it's so much fun.
Yeah, it is. No, it's good. Just, it gives you a different perspective. I'm enjoying it. So, hopefully see if I can move my way up the belt ranks this year.
It's great, man. It's so good. You it's a bit like BMX too. Like you meet some really, really nice people. And I think the thing is too, right, everyone's very humble because it's just like that ego's gone because at the end of the day, you can't have a false, ego. You can't have a false sense of, oh, I'm tough because you're going to get your ass kicked in a minute, mate. So you'll find out pretty quick whether or not you're tough or not.
Yeah, no, it is. It's really good. And you think you're going to go there and everyone's just going to, break you and do everything else. But so far I've been to a few other gyms now and everyone's really respectful. And, you can have some hard rolls, but no one's trying to break your arm or, put you to sleep. It's just you take it sort of as far as you want. It's good.
Well, those type of people that deliberately hurt people don't last very long anyway. You know what I mean? Yeah. They sort of get weeded out of the club or like my coaches had a few chats to a few different people in the club and just said, mate, let's have a break for a couple months. If you want to come back in a couple months, like you'll do that to them, sort of give them a bit of a 2-month suspension or something. And they never come back. So, but it's good, man. You create a really good culture within your club. It's welcoming, like I've got really good friends, I've spoke to you in the past about it. My mate Calvin, like we sort of grew up together riding bikes and then now we both do jiu-jitsu together and he's been doing jiu-jitsu, 21 years, 22 years or something like that. And I'm probably not far behind him. I'm probably about 19 or 17 or 18. No, I must be close to 20 as well. So I've been doing it forever as well. But it's, you just build some great relationships, man. It's really fun.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it. My 18 months will, definitely not be able to give you guys much to play with other than a touch and bag.
Come down and man, we're more than welcome, mate. Come down and I'm sure Calvin will be stoked to have you come past his place.
To be honest, it's helped me a lot with BMX too. Like, I've thought of so many different things now, like to be able to create. Like, I just love the martial arts way that, there's levels, there's a pathway there that's easy to understand. And it's the one thing I'm working on right now with BMX. It's actually creating levels from the sport they're going to release soon. And it's like just giving parents and riders an understanding that, hey, if you don't have like these things underneath you by the time you get to this age or to this point, then it's not going to happen. And, hopefully they start to realize that, once they click in and, start going to the gym, that there's a lot more other things that they need to win races.
I was playing around with a thing at one stage. I was going to try and do like a bit of a program where you got grips, like your rankings. So as you progress through the rankings, you got different colored grips.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good play.
We're doing some similar stuff with that. Like, we've already done the levels, but I know freestyle have got a similar one as well. And I think they're going to do gloves.
Yeah, okay.
Different colored gloves.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, there's a few cool things that we're trying to release soon. So it should be good.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
man. Well, I appreciate you coming on, mate. And so good picking your brain, buddy. I'll write a bunch of that down and definitely claim it as my own. So appreciate it, buddy.
Mate, anytime. Look forward to the next one and look forward to coming down and having some rolls. So
yeah, can't wait. Thanks, buddy.
Awesome.
Talk to you soon.
See you, mate. Bye.
All right, mate.